to the races. Coffee?
Coffee. Yeah.
Black?
Yeah.
Milk? Sugar?
Black. And my sister gave me for Christmas, she gave me this. It's a real game changer. It's a little pad that it's like just a tiny stovetop almost, but specifically for coffee. So it just sits on my desk, and I'm reheating coffee all day long basically, and so it just sits there so it can stay at
Room
an
temp.
equal temperature.
Or
Yeah,
not, a little higher room temp.
yeah.
You have to add that to your favorite gift.
You're right. That's a
Thing.
good point. I messaged her and said, this is really something. Like, you really hit the nail on the head. But I think I need to make a bigger deal out of it.
She knew you are always reheating coffee, or what's the deal? She just
Actually, no. I think maybe she just sensed it. It's not like I don't actively talk about it, but she must have known, like, my little brother sits at his desk all day.
Suffering.
Yeah, exactly.
This grown man is suffering.
Mm-hmm.
He has cold coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
How you been? How's the new year in this dumpster fire that is America?
This is gonna sound dark, but I'm gonna say something that's gonna make me sound really ignorant. And this is going to answer your question eventually. But my wife and I, we were out, coincidentally, we were out for our anniversary last night, and so we had dinner, and we were on our way to dinner, and I said, or we were coming back from dinner, and I said, Caitlin, what's going on in Iran? Like, what's happening in the Middle East right now? Because I've purposefully, with Iran, as well as everything else that's happening right now, I've tried in the new year to just stay away from alerts, stay away from news in some ways, and like kind of pick and choose, at least for this month, while I figure out what the right handling mechanism is for all the stuff that we're getting. So to answer your question, I feel like I've been in a little bit of a bubble, but a good simplified bubble for this start of the year. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling refreshed. I'm not letting every piece of news mess me up. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. It's good for sleep, and it's good for just energy throughout the day.
I think I'm all for the bubble, to be honest. I'm all for the conscious bubble. Someone said something to me, and maybe we know this scientifically, maybe we don't, but they said we're not supposed to be inundated with information. Like,
Yeah.
we just can't. Like any machine, their logic was any machine, a computer has its limits. You literally buy something called RAM or memory, or in the case of this planet and AI, it's like you have to build another server, which takes water. Like, there are limits to capacity for all things in the world. If you eat and eat and eat, you will reach your limit or suffer. And so she is just of this logic which I was like, yeah, that actually works for me. We are just consuming too much information of all kinds. And it's not only bad, and it's not only war related, but it's just everywhere. Like on top of my phones and my notifications and my news, it's the billboards, it's the guy dressed like sandwiches, it's my parents, it's it's everything. And I got to read this article, and I want to read this book. Like, it's too much.
I'm with you. It is. It really is. And then I think, going with what you're saying, even when you try to resource certain spaces, like if I go to a news site, this isn't every news site. Let's just say I go to a news site, the way that they're working with ads now, I can't get through an article without like constant video coming up, and all of these, even if it's video for here's another story that maybe we're going to link you to or something like that, and I just give up. It's like I'm not going to read this article. I just can't. It's like I'm all of a sudden in a room with 20 children that are all vying for my attention while I'm trying to do one thing. and that feels like it feels almost like my constant presence online these days. But yeah, I think we're not so far removed where the average lifespan was, I don't know, your 30s or something. And I'm not saying that within sort of our lifetime or even our grandparents' lifetime, but not too far beyond that in the past. Like we're living way beyond anything our ancestors encountered. So even that alone, let alone all the information that's coming for us, it's so much progress so quickly. And I'll put the progress in quotes. So much change, at least.
So much change. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the answer. If I think about, like, none of us would ever say to a monk in a monastery who decided not to read the news that they weren't doing good in the world. Like,
It's true. Yeah.
but you might judge a person who you were like, how could you not pay attention? And I completely reject this narrative. As someone who has like stopped reading the morning report of the New York Times, I mean, I'm right with you. Like, I just don't do it. I don't need to do it. I don't do it. I have enough friends who will text me when something crazy happens. Uh, I live in the world. I have ears and eyes, so I will see and hear. But I am a big believer in trying to detoxify my life from consumption.
That I love hearing that. I love hearing that. I'll throw it back to you, and maybe it's related. How is your 2026, and what are some of the intentions that you set out so far for this year versus other years?
So I picked a god this year, and my god that I picked is Shiva. Shiva is the god of destruction and transformation. And this has been really medicinal for me. What needs to be destroyed? And it's less about what transformation, because we're always transforming. Like, that's just inevitable. Change is inevitable. It's happening. We're different than when we started this conversation. That's not like spiritual. That's like actual chemical. Like, air is different. Cells are different. But my only intention is to destroy anything that separates me from being here in this moment. And not that being here in this moment is a cure-all. It's not about happiness. Like, I'm present, I'm happy. No, it's like, I'm just present.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to run to do something on my phone. I'm just not going to run to fill space. I'm going to do my best to not run to fill my attention with something else. That's my year vibe. On top of it, our literal neighbor, not like metaphorical, like the person on your block that I see every day, was taken by ICE from his house. And so that hit differently. It's different when you know it's happening. Like, you're like, yeah, this is happening. It's fucked up. It's over there. It's over there. It's over there. It's over there. But when it's your neighbor on your block, it hits different. And so that's all part of this dance of this year. I've been experiencing that, and what can feel like the helplessness of that, the anger of that, the lotness of that, the fascistness of that, I don't think I've seen videos of them going into people's houses.
Yeah, no, neither have I.
And so that one was, I was like, oh, isn't that what the Gestapo did? like when you can literally walk into someone's house, which we just did for Maduro. Not that, I'm like, Maduro's great, but this idea of like, oh no, now I just can, yeah, a door doesn't mean anything, a barrier doesn't mean anything. I will just cross it. Is a precedent on small and large ways for, I don't even think we know yet.
No, we don't. We definitely don't. I'm curious, and I'm sorry to hear that. I'm in a general sense, I'm sorry to hear what's happening to all these families and people. I'm curious, and I'm trying to think of uh, kind of the deeper the question that I have for you. I have this, with I'll frame it this way. I live in South Brooklyn. I live in New York City. Basically, any place you live in the United States now, you're going to come across an immigrant, if not large populations of them. And so here in South Brooklyn in particular, when I walk, I'm right on the border of Sunset Park and Bay Ridge. And so walking up Fifth Avenue in Bay Ridge, it's highly Mexican, Central American. I When the election happened and then when they started moving with this further enforcement, it's like beyond everything else, I can't imagine Fifth Avenue in Brooklyn without, like, that's like little Mexico to me. It's so, but I know it's happening. I just haven't seen it in New York as much. I haven't seen it in New York as much. I don't know what they're doing policy wise in New York. I know it's happening. And I'm curious for you, you're a New Yorker, who's made the Los Angeles area your home. And uh I'm curious how you're experiencing it from, I guess, partly as somebody, well, number one, you're of a diaspora, you're of a, Dominican diaspora, myself, Puerto Rican. But I'm curious, as somebody from a New Yorker status, how you're seeing this sort of engagement with folks in LA. Like I just, it feels so antithetical. I know there's animosity towards immigrants in New York. I know it.
Mm.
There's animosity everywhere. I just don't see it either with ICE or with, like, verbally or hostility on the day to day. I'm curious about your experience as a New Yorker and as a Latino New Yorker living in LA, seeing this, both ICE and anything else that you've observed.
Yeah, well, I think that's why it was so extra shocking because LA is full of Mexicans. The border crossed us, right? Like that's what they say,
Yeah.
which I
Yeah.
love. Like we didn't cross the border. Like y'all, you did. Like this is Mexico. Um, and yet neighborhoods have created their own divisiveness. And regarding immigrants being everywhere, I always think of the great Anthony Bourdain, who's like, there is no restaurant in this world without a Latino in the back cooking. Your French food, your Greek food, your like your he would say like your white food, any food, there's a Latino cooking it. From Idaho to Nebraska. Uh, and so LA is full of immigrants like New York. It's a major city. And those bodies helped build this place. And yet neighborhoods have created division, like happens with rent and what can you afford and not afford. And so it was kind of extra shocking in Silver Lake, the neighborhood where this happened. Again, to go into someone's house, uh, in a what some might say is an affluent neighborhood, like
Yeah.
a fully hipsterized, turned over neighborhood wasn't always like that. Uh, and and so now I'm like, oh, it has no boundaries. Um, the other thing that really pissed me off, if we really want to get into it, is I think he was snitched on, and I think he was snitched on by a developer who bought these two properties across the street because he would hang out just outside all day on his chair, smoking, like talking, just being himself. Uh, because I'm like, they weren't driving around Silver Lake, like, and I was like, oh, he got snitched on.
Yeah.
I can't prove it, but I can guarantee it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that makes me extra grumpy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's happening, I'm sure, a lot. It is a That's the other thing too that points to this, this new world order is we we did not function, the United States, at least in the day to day and sort of like the regular, everyday town folks. We didn't function. Our currency wasn't in providing information to the government. We didn't necessarily live, and granted, there were people who made deals in life and in the history of this country. But I'm talking about just like the regular everyday and stuff that we've heard about other countries, historical records of fascism and things like that, or even shit. I mean, even the Caribbean, man. Like even the history of Trujillo or Puerto Rico with the Carpetas, like these surveillance states, and it's so dark to just think about how folks are using the currency of snitching as a way to like, and even if it isn't, even if they're not getting paid for it, like this developer shit, he technically is kind of getting paid because he's saying, get this guy out, maybe he'll buy his hat, maybe he'll make money on the back end by trying to get this property or something like that. Who knows? But yeah, that extra side of it, man, where we're seeing the actions of everyday people leaning into that surveillance system. It's dark. It's really fucked up and dark.
It's the easy influence, like, and that's what I think we are. The inundatedness of consumption and other people's ideas is so well designed because you have no free thought.
Yeah.
How could you? You've given no space to be an individual. You've given no space to come up with your own idea. You've given no space to have your own reaction. Like my friend tells this great story about she saw one battle after another, and she was talking about it to a friend who hadn't seen it. And the friend was talking to her about like her ideas about the movie. And she was like, wait, you haven't seen it? And she was like, no, but I listened to this podcast. And I trust this guy. And she was like, this is like a Columbia professor, two Columbia professors talking to each other. And one of them is acting as if that is her narrative. She listened to a podcast about a movie she didn't see, like a 3-hour film that she consumed a 20-minute podcast. She now can speak to the experience of the film. And that's dangerous. Or it's just sad. We have lost ourselves in information.
Absolutely. I had kind of to what you're saying, and I've caught myself. I had a moment yesterday. I won't say what it was because I don't want to repeat anything in terms of whether it's something true or false. But I saw one article in Threads, like somebody had posted something in Threads, and it, to me, to my eyes, meant to like, I was like, okay, reliable source, and it informed my worldview, something I already said. And what my brain automatically did was my brain did something where it's like, I have something to talk about at my next social gathering about, it wasn't necessarily about this group of people, but it was about something political. It was like about, the right wing. And I thought, in 15 seconds, I've decided, without reading the article, looking at the headline, agreeing with it, not even knowing if it was a trusted source, saying this has not only answered my worldview, but now I can say, I'm hypothetically saying this. Let's just say the article said ICE agents are also shooting babies or something like that. Let's just say that's the case. Let's hope that's a very false fake headline that I'm giving, but that wasn't the headline. But let's just hypothetically say that is. In 15 seconds, I had decided, without doing any further research, without like even challenging my own thought, I basically had gone, okay, ICE agents are shooting babies. Now I'm going to share that information with everybody at like the social events, the gatherings of people who share my worldview. I'm going to say, do you know what they're doing? And all I have to say is like, I can either people have vetted me to trust me as a source, or I can say something I've read enough. I'm an educated enough person. And that's the thing is that I do feel like I'm an educated person. I do feel like I care. I do feel like I challenge my thoughts and challenge what's being fed to me. But I'm finding how easily I'm not. And I have to go, wait, after those 15 seconds, dude, what do you think? Like you haven't even researched this.
It's so
You haven't read the
easy.
article.
It's so
Yeah,
easy
so easy.
to make happen. And because it saw like it sees the subconscious, you don't even need to read the article, you see the big bold lettering, and so it just exists in us. And that's where I will return to. I think this is my year, and I think this is my practice. I just keep saying less. Like I want to do less. I don't even know if I've accomplished it. I want to do less. I want to consume less. I want to listen to less music. I even want to kind of read less. Like I remember I had this phase when I was younger where I gave away all my books. All of them. I said, I want to stop quoting people. It actually came from an ego place. I said, I want to stop quoting people. I want to be quoted. But in what it meant was like, I need to stop taking in information. Like every book you've ever read is someone who decided to do a walk. And if you're just reading about other people's walks, but not walking, you'll never get anywhere. Like you'll never know the ground of your own life. Like you'll never find any treasure. If these books worked, it wouldn't be $1 billion industry. But reading doesn't do the work. Even reading Adrienne Marie Brown, even reading like any of the books you're reading, maybe one person in 1,000,000 is doing the work, which requires putting down the book. So that's like my practice this year. I try not to say goal. I think a goal inherently says that where we are is not enough. And so my practice is one of less. Like I just less consumption. And that has, I think it's been serving, and I think it will serve in the long run. I practice at this community of monks in Northern California where I do these silent retreats, and there's this monk there who always says, like, you can't even begin to comprehend what less and leisure is. Meaning, if you set 20 minutes on your clock to meditate, you've already lost the game. If you set 20 minutes on your clock to do nothing, it's about doing nothing. And then maybe at an hour, you start to realize, oh, it's about doing nothing. And then maybe at 3 hours, you start to realize, I haven't even scratched the surface of what it is to just be here. And that's so hard. It's so hard. I mean, that's the true counterculture now, is to unplug in whatever version that means for folks.
I've never done a silent retreat. What have you found to be the biggest hurdle during your time doing that?
Oh, it's life-changing, but it's your mind. I would say it's like being trapped inside a phone booth with a crazy person, except the crazy person is you. Like, it's just you. And you're like, oh my God, I'm so loud. I'm so loud.
Yeah.
Of course I do so much stuff because I'm so loud.
Yeah.
And I refuse to look at my loudness. I refuse to care about it. I refuse to listen to it. Like, it's loud. It's so loud in here. For people listening, is me touching my mind, my brain, my skull. It's loud.
Yeah.
And the wild thing is, I try to do them every year, and it's only like when I'm leaving that I can finally stay. Like it takes that long to detox from the idea of like, I should have a schedule. I should do something. I should be productive. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to, I'm going to meditate. It's no, it's like it takes 5, 6 days just to arrive. Yeah, it's like people who go on vacation now, and they come back tired because they never showed up.
Yeah.
Like they never actually got there. Like, what's the point? You know? And maybe on the day they leave, they're like relaxed.
Do you have a tradition or something that you do to reintegrate in like post retreat, or is it just trying to carry all of the sort of tenets and all like the overall vibe into your life as you return?
I think it's that. I think it's Carrie. I think it's
Yeah.
the world is loud. Retreat centers are less loud in a loud world. And I think you just try and take the medicine that you know felt good in moments and say, how can I apply it here? But it's really hard. Like
Mm-hmm.
really hard. It is really hard. When you take a clear picture of like your society where you live, there's a lot going on. Like there is a lot happening. It's freaking hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. It doesn't mean you shouldn't attempt it or go for it. Like uh anything worthwhile is a little difficult. But the world is loud. Yeah, and so we're just trying to quiet the noise whenever possible. Uh yeah.
It's something I've been thinking about trying this year, actually. Not a full intention saying by the end of 2026, I'm going to do one of these retreats, but it's that my loose ones are, I'd like to try that. I'd like to get into more of like a meditative, mindfulness practice. And I also want to try surfing. I'm,
Surfing is crazy meditative because
that's, oh, I think I would love it.
you're
Yeah.
watching, and every time I've surfed, I'm like, oh, I understand why people would give their whole life to this.
Mm,
Like I'm not gonna do it, but I understand it. You're like, what a meditation. You have to pay attention to the water. That's it. You like have to listen and watch and observe and feel the ocean so you know when to paddle, when not, when to stand up. And it's just like it can be so meditative. Yeah.
yeah, man. I'm way into it. It's the only thing that uh makes me consider moving to places where I can have more of the year to attempt something like this. I know people go down to the Rockaways here in the
This
middle. They're going now. Like people go
in New
now.
York,
Yeah, they'll go and like have like the suit on and everything like that. And maybe I haven't attempted even getting in water with one of those suits, but let alone like I'll do walks on the beach in January here in New York. But I got a warm drink,
bundle.
I'm bundled up and all that. And I look at the waves and I go, that's cool from here. But yeah, I really want to try it this year. And I as well, I've heard such wonderful things, not just about surfing, but as well about these retreats. And yeah, I'd like to try the medicine.
They're hard, but once you do it, you're just like, oh yeah, that's what's up. Like
Yeah.
that's what's up. The hardest part is actually going. That's the hardest part. The hardest part is the excuses that people like us, and I put you in this category, which is like artists, also have to pay my rent, also, the navigating of life and the hustle and the scheming and the Machiavelliing and the addiction to can I step away?
Hmm.
And the answer is yes, but the stories we tell are unbelievable. Like, I mean, like any addict, like any junkie, like you know what you're doing is wrong for you, but you do it anyway. It's like that's what culture has done to us. That's what the machine has done to us. Like
Yeah.
we know it's bad for us. Literally, we know. Like there are movies, there are documentaries, there are people who have said like, "Hey, this is terrible for you. Like this is rotting your brain. It's making you dumber. It's killing your dopamine." It's like, and we're like, "What? What'd you say?" You know. Uh, Yeah, it's an addictive thing. And so the hardest part is getting there and actually being like, I made these dates, I made these commitments, I'm going to show up. And the other thing I believe as a spiritual person is the universe will challenge your intention immediately. So you're going to make that thing and you're going to say, I'm going to go to this retreat. And then the universe is going to give you some opportunity that you've always wanted. Uh, and that's when the real work begins.
Spoken from experience, it sounds like.
That's when it begins. You know, I tell any young actor or artist, you want to book work, book your dream vacation. You book your dream vacation, and as soon as you book it, you're going to book something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, because as soon as you stop, you give up the wanting and you make a true commitment with your heart, it's like, of course, the thing you wanted the whole time finally comes. Because you stopped pushing it away, you know, with your wanting.
I have had that, not so much with artistic opportunities, although I now I'm, you know, more I'm very organically moving in the direction of I just want to do things for myself creatively, and not the like I want to do things for myself, right? Universe, like bring in the opportunities, but more like more of an organic feeling. But the ways in which that's shown up, which I've heard the cliche over the years before I experienced it, but both like jobs, literally getting employment, and top for me was relationships, you know, finding a good partner. My wife and I met only a few weeks after I told a friend completely with my heart saying, I'm really feeling good about not dating right now. Not interested. I want to do my thing. I've got some projects. I want to spend time with friends. And she said, oh, you're going to meet somebody now. I go, everybody says that. Everybody says that. No, I want to do my thing. And then 2 weeks later, I meet Caitlin. But, and that has happened other times in my life too. But yeah, there is a truth to that, the power of not giving up, but just letting it go, you know, that I'm going to lead with, you know, my whatever my purpose is in my own way.
So this line changed my life. It doesn't mean it like lives in my bones and it doesn't make it easier. But to want and to not want are the same thing. They're both resistance to what is. To want and to not want are the same thing. They're both resistance to what is. And so when we make a decision with our whole heart, we're both wanting and not wanting. Like we've literally let go in such a profound way when you say, I'm not going to date. I'm happy. I love myself. And of course, love's going to come to you because you finally said you love yourself. You like really let go in that way. And this is the cycle of these come up and downs. But like, of course, the job that the person always wants decides when they don't need the job. You know, it actually always comes back to choosing self. Honestly, it's like, you know, the writer always wanted this gig or the actor always wanted that gig. And because it was going to make them feel good about themselves if they got it. But at some point they say, fuck it. I'm going to Miami. Like, the fuck am I waiting around for?
Right.
I'm choosing myself. And as soon as you choose yourself, it also chooses you because you stop the resistance. And so it's pretty kind of easy conceptually, but quite hard to practice. But it always comes back to like choosing self, because to want and to not want are the same thing. They're both resistance to what is.
Do you have, speaking of the feedback you got about this idea of setting the clock for 20 minutes to meditate versus what happens an hour, so on and so forth, do you have a practice that is structured or something that you're doing day to day or week to week?
Yeah, I mean, I sit every day. Like I've been meditating for a long time. It's changed my life. I think it's the best free piece of medicine in the world. To stop, like to stop at least once a day is some of the best free medicine that the world has to offer. The amount of time you choose to stop is up to you. I believe in 1 minute. I believe in 5 minutes. I believe in 20 minutes. I believe in 40 minutes. Like, that's your journey. But just the idea of stopping is really quite powerful. and free. And I keep
Mm.
like, it's there. It's just there. Just stop. Like put it all down. So I do that every day. Uh, my practice has evolved to, at least this year at this moment with Shiva, with my devotion is I want to sit on my cushion, but I also want to know how to stop here and in the middle of my rush. And I want to show up early to places, not late. Um, I want to leave with ample time. I want to let my dog sniff things and not be like, hurry up because I need to go somewhere. Uh, I really want to take the practice off of the cushion. Uh, I want to sit on my couch and not be like, I should read a book right now. I should watch a show. I just want to sit on my couch. Uh, I Yeah, so that's my practice now, is taking that idea of stopping off of the cushion. Um, I just got back from Morocco. I was supposed to do a silent
Yeah, that's
retreat
great.
there, and I wasn't able to. I was supposed to do it in the desert because of a rainstorm, like the first rainstorm in like 20 years, including in the desert where it doesn't rain because it's the desert. And so I couldn't make it out there. And I was so grumpy. I was furious, furious. I almost spent thousands of dollars to come home early because I couldn't go do this silent retreat. What's the point of a retreat anywhere if you can't be where you are? Like it took me 3 days to get over the grumpiness of not getting what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
What's the point of any meditation practice if you can't just be where you are? Things change, circumstances change. So once I got over that and I arrived, I had such a great time, like that it took 3 days for me to be like, but that's the retreat. You don't need to go to, it can help, you don't need to go to the desert or the mountains or like where you are, it's the cell that is needed. This is the retreat center. It's your life. Now, again, we can go to these other places. They might have some surroundings that help the detoxing. But for me, that was such a powerful lesson and reminder that it's like, of course you flew 1,000 miles, 3,000 miles to practice, but the practice is here. The practice is here. Uh, yeah,
That's a great lesson.
yeah.
That's a great takeaway.
I mean, I was so pissed. I was like, and then, it's like, why are you angry? You're literally in Marrakesh. Like, wake up, dog. Open your eyes. Like, be here.
I have a I guess a biological, ecological question. They got this rainstorm for the first time in 20 years, it hits some of the desert. Do you know if anything grew? I'm always curious about when rain hits a desert and it's like, what's underneath the sand? Like, is there stuff that grows for a day, for 2 days or something? Do you have any idea?
I don't know. That's hilarious. I mean, we couldn't, the roads just would have been too rough to get out there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a 3.5, 4 hour drive from Marrakesh.
Wow.
So we just didn't attempt the journey. Um, and funny is like when the rain ended, they were like, "You want to go out now?" And I was like, "No, our thing is past. Like,
Yeah.
we've moved on. We're here now." But I don't know what grows. I mean, I'm sure something does, just because when LA rains, man, it's so overnight. All the grass that you thought wasn't there pops up. Like it just is like, that's what it doesn't die. It's just dormant.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
knows how to be dormant. It just is like, my day will come, my rain will come. Like overnight, and anything that is alive and green is just more green. It's just like, yes. I love watching that happen in LA.
Yeah, it's cool with environments like that. I know that there's people there. I want to say this is annual. but everything about to share has holes in it. So I'll just say what I've heard and what I know. And this isn't me looking at a headline deciding I'm an expert on it. This is more than that. But I know that there's a portion of the Atacama Desert in Chile which I believe annually gets a certain amount of rainfall, but it's like 2 days or something. It's a very short window where it gets rainfall. And for maybe 2 weeks, a week or something like that, it just gets populated by these gorgeous flowers. Like this whole pet portion of the desert is just flowers. And I think people make the trek out there just to see this rapid transformation and sort of like visually what we deem as just a dead environment. And I would love to see it, but I just love the metaphor of that, and I kind of went to what you're saying about what you observe in LA. It's not dead, it's just dormant. It's there, it's underneath the surface. And whether or not the rain comes, it's still there. It's just beautiful, just a beautiful visual, but a beautiful metaphor for so much what we could carry.
I want to tell you about my biggest takeaway from Marrakesh and then go into other men because I think it's related. The male intimacy in Marrakesh is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
Mm.
Men holding hands, grown men, kissing, hugging, like 2 kisses on the cheek and then a kiss on the forehead, arm over arm. It's young to old, old to old, middle to middle, young to young, walking arm in arm. Like, I was blown away. I said, if in this country we had 5% of that intimacy, I think the world would be different. It was unbelievable. It was like truly, I just couldn't stop. I thought it was so beautiful.
Yeah. I haven't been to Morocco. The closest regionally I've been to Egypt and to a few areas of Egypt, and saw and observed that similarly with these, the affection between men, and then sort of different temperatures of that in the Mediterranean. I've heard portions of India, I've heard portions of Asia, where you'll see much more, very, very visual, physical affection between men. There's going to what you were saying about the United States, there's a really interesting record of early photography, early both experiments in photography, but early studio photography from the late 19th century into the early 20th century, where a lot of those photos were men, and a lot of those photos were men who were, friends, some version of fraternity. And these photos on first glance, you're like, oh, this is a document of gay relationships photographically during this time. Like, wow, this is, there are all these queer relationships, where some of those are true, but it was something that did exist here in the United States, where men were very affectionate. They were more apt to, if not hold hands, and hold arms and things like that. And there's a bunch of different theories, but part of it is the sort of when we moved into the Great Wars, the First World War, moving into the Second, and then industrialization, when we were moving away from sort of these communal rural lives, and then as well the workspaces got more integrated, not just racially and ethnically, but gender-wise with women. There was this cultural shift of men performing as men. So sort of like this threat of other people that were coming into these spaces, and again, specifically women. And I'm saying this in a way, I always have to say, I'm not saying like If women didn't vote or if women didn't come to work with us, we'd still be holding hands. Not what I'm saying ever. But I do think it's really interesting that in the United States, there was this to what you're seeing. If it wasn't one-to-one with what you experienced in Marrakesh, it was very similar. And we are, and here you are in 2025, 2026, seeing something that existed 100 years ago in Marrakesh, but now in the United States, that's gone. Like you very rarely see
Men holding hands? Are
men
you
holding
kidding me?
hands. Yeah,
That are
let
not in a
alone,
relationship? Yeah.
yeah, and even then, like you and I live in these progressive giant hubs, and I can sort of year to year, outside of if I'm in the West Village, which I'm not that often, but and I say the West Village or Chelsea as like these gay hubs where I would see it more often. But this is a progressive. I live in New York City. I live in New York City. Like there's so much more openness here, and there's a large queer community. I rarely see men holding hands who I would assume are dating or in a relationship. Again, because I think just this cultural impression of like you're in a relationship or you're not in a relationship, it is gay and wrong, or it's like, you know, any level, that sort of heavy level of affection between men that's not sanctioned. You know, if he like maybe if his mom died, you can put your arm around him, but anything beyond that, like let's temper it down, guys. It's sad, it's fascinating, but it's there again. You know, maybe going back to the metaphor with the rain, like it exists under the grass, or it exists under the surface. There is a capacity for it. I just on this thread real quick because it's top of mind. Last year I started experimenting with men's groups. I never had before, and I have to admit I had a bit of a bias without having experienced it of like, oh man, like what I realize is I have my own discomfort in being around all men. I do, and this my immediate thoughts are like, oh, there's going to be competition. There's going to be people that judge me. Putting all that aside, I experienced a few places and organizations that were great. One of them is this space here in New York called All Kings, and they mostly function as sort of a doorway for men who experience incarceration, justice impacted men. It's sort of these healing circles to men to have for themselves individually, but as well to spread to their community, breaking patterns of trauma, etc. But what I experienced in those retreats and what I've observed is similar to what we're saying. Like when you give, I'm gonna say, forgive the language, but when you give men the okay to provide affection, provide tenderness, to receive it, it is like it is one of the most powerful things. It exists and men want it. I think it's all dormant it's dormant for so many of us. But if I were just to put a microcosm on those experiences and seeing also what one would deem, if you walked into a campground, the average person, you say like a lot of these guys were locked up, some of them weren't. And you're like, oh, this is the most dangerous place I could be. If you spent an hour there, you would see like, oh no, that reservoir of love and tenderness and affection, it exists in all of us. It's just providing the space and the sanctions so that men feel freer to do it. I wish that wasn't the case, but that just is. But it's there. It is there. And you know, there is a world where what you experienced in Marrakesh could return here in the States. I don't see it anytime soon, but there is a possibility, or sections of the United States.
I mean, it would be beautiful, and I want it to be not my work, but I just with my own men in my life, I want to, you know, I don't know if I jump right into holding hands, but why not? Like, I probably have to tell them first.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I just grab it, but arm in arm, you know, like, you know, when I was there, I wanted to be hugged by them. It's like it's not a pat. It's not like a hug the homie. It was good to see you. It was like real affection, which is different. in that note, can you just tell us about Other Men for people who don't know what it is?
Yeah, Other Men, also known as Other Men Need Help. We started it as a podcast in 2017. It's expanded to be, also use the word platform, but we have Substack, we have the podcast, we're moving back into video, and we've done events. And it's an exploration of masculinity, but it's really everyday masculinity. It's like the stuff that we do not want to talk about. It is the way quietly other men affect us, the way we react with other men, the way we react with the other men that are inside our bellies that are telling us, hey, don't do that. That's going to be weird, or you're going to be awkward. Or it's meant to be as transparent, honest, playful as possible. We call it Sesame Street about masculinity. Like, that's sort of the mission, is to say, here are our ABCs of the ways in which masculinity was not, like, we're not being honest about, basically. Yeah, I started it in 2017. I'd been developing it for a number of years, but basically it was just what I was missing in the men's lifestyle landscape. We have so much material and stuff I read and listen to and watch as well, but so much material about aspirational living. You know, here's the sort of leather bag you should buy. Here's all the sort of cool watches, or the watch that James Bond had in Spectre. You know, this is what you need to get to be an aspirational dude. There's that. And then when it comes to anything around men and sort of honesty or healing and all of that, I as an audience member, I'm like, it's pretty didactic or it's pretty abrasive. It's either we're going to sit down and discuss these things, versus this is my experience as a man, I'm going to be honest about it. And on the abrasive side, sometimes this is my experience, but it's sort of morning zoo style, like, well, you know, here's what I did is I slept with her and then I left because I'm an asshole. You know, it's like this sort of, none of it feels very revealing. And so I was finding, as when I was starting the platform, I was in my 30s, starting my 30s, and I was like, I feel like I've been lied to. And I want somebody to talk about what it's like when you find out the woman that you're dating, her ex, the guy that she dated before you, was so hot, like like why, like so different from the way, just what does that do to your brain? Or I'm a short king and I just wasn't finding stuff about what it was like, very honestly, to date as a short guy, or the things that I could be honest about and I don't want to be honest about my own aspirations, or the ways that I decide, well, I'm short here, so instead I'm gonna do this to compensate for being short. And so that's the goal, is to not throw other men under the rug. It's really to be super accountable and say, my mantra is kind of, along with the Sesame Street about masculinity, is the mission is kind of telling specifically men, like, you're not that weird, dude. Like, the thoughts you have, the things that, like, the way that you interact at that social event, I'm sure you think you're being really weird, or whatever it is. Your thoughts aren't that weird. Like, a lot of us are sitting with those same thoughts.
Yeah, amen. That's cool. I'm glad you're Sesame Streeting it up. I watched that Sesame Street documentary and I was like, man, we all need that.
Yeah, we do.
It's not for young people. It's just people having honest conversations.
Yeah.
Which are super important. On the side of engaged liberation, I like to ask this question, which is, what is liberation to you?
I think I'll just answer with coming into 2026, and similar to you, I've had a mission to simplify my life. but part of that is being more honest with myself, being more honest about my capacity, and not living a life that's so encumbered by other people's opinions, thoughts, etc. So I think liberation for me, the top of mind definition, or first thing for me coming into 2026, is allowing yourself to be yourself, and making choices because they're right for you as well as the right thing to do. I think there's definitely a more sexy answer I could give, but that's what I'm sitting with in terms of that. Feels like that's a version of liberation that when I see people, I'll talk about Caitlin. When I see Caitlin interact with people and she will have an opinion given to her that she doesn't agree with, even if it's like a very sort of subdued, I love watching her just doing the right thing. Is number one, again, agreeing with yourself, but also it's not that doing the right thing means you have to say yes to what the person is saying. It's like deliver it with the capacity of kindness and sort of like talking to a human that you can. And that's what I see in her, is that she'll just go, no, that doesn't land with me. Explain more about why that does, or whatever. And sometimes she'll get more heated. And I find myself, I have had historically, I've bent at the whim of other people. And it could be just like an opinion about something popular, as innocuous as that. So my feeling of liberation is just going, this is who I am. Take it as you will, and I'm going to interact with you and whatever your opinion is with as much patience and compassion as I can.
We were talking about last night, me and some friends, that the 2026 energy is like if someone comes at you with some wildness, you just go, no follow-ups. Like you just have the courage to walk away.
Yeah.
Or say like, look, life is short. I don't have the time for this conversation. Because I was at this party and this guy was talking to this woman, and she looked like she was enjoying herself, and she actually was enjoying herself. But at some point, she says, "I'm going to go back to my friends now," like right in the middle. And I was like, "That's so badass."
That's great.
And she was like, "I just don't have the time. Like, I don't have the time, and I don't see you all the time." And so, and I was just, like, my jaw agape. It's just the ease. It didn't feel painful. It didn't feel rude. It didn't feel like get the fuck away from me. It was just like, love this. I'm gonna go talk to my friends now.
Yeah.
Very firm, very clear, very loving. And so may we all have that, as we consume less or consume the right things, as we hear false news and right news, and our news, may we be like clear and loving in that. And I think I'll end here, which is, are you liberated?
Getting there. I'm getting there. I very honestly, more so than making a statement like that anytime before this year, I really do feel like I'm getting there.
Sick. Yeah. Amen. Anything else?
Thanks for having me. Thanks for chatting. It's always wonderful to catch up with you.
Oh yeah, agreed.